Okay, now this should be live. Can I go back? Let's see if this works. Okay, not yet. Okay, there's always a lag. I don't know how long the lag is, which makes it slightly tricky. Okay, this seems to work. Good. I guess I'll start and we'll just see how that goes. Mm, okay, let me see if there's a chart window somewhere. Sorry, it's been a while since I did this, so I actually don't remember how half of this works. Source, camera, microphone, overlay, Windows. There we go. Okay, now I have a comment video. Nice. So I can close this. This will stick around. Perfect. All right. So just as a tiny warning, the chat, like whatever you're seeing right now, I've said it like 3, 4, 5 seconds ago. So there's always a slight lag. So if you say something and I don't listen to it or act on it, it's because I just saw it. Like it's always a bit late. So, hey Gavin. Oh, in the same city. That's pretty cool. Should hang out sometime. All right then. I am live. All right. So what I want to do is I'm going to build this with Tailwind, and this is Steve Schoger, who's like who's a who's the designer behind Tailwind. So all the pretty things you see, it's him and Adam. And I want to try to create this and then maybe another version. So and doing all that, I want to kind of show you how it would feel like if I had UI Devtools as well. Um, Gavin in the chat, I'm not gonna say it out loud in chat, but DM me and we'll talk specific. All right, so let's kind of try to mock the layout first. I'm gonna shrink this up, and I don't need this window. I don't need this anymore. Okay, so what I've done is I have a create React tab running, and that's kind of it. That's all I've done till now. And I'm going to start mocking this. So I want everything to be in the aside. So let's see, there's like this is a nav, I suppose. In the nav, we have a, I should have had the icons. But anyways, I'm going to create like an icon list over here and then just keep adding things here. So there's the home icon, which renders nothing, team, calendar, docs, and reports. So all of these do nothing yet. It'd be cool if this is like a row. So let me create like a row component. Return. This is a div. And inside this div, I want there to be, actually this should be an li so that I can put it in a list. I'm going to make this into a list and render rows here. Perfect. So this has dashboard. And then I can say icon, put it up, icon dashboard. Oh, Mihir said you can't see my face. Face aligned with the screen. That's not intentional. Let me see. Oh, it will also hide the code. Okay, I'm going to put it somewhere on the side here. Okay, back to the code. Oops, there's another window I don't need. Probably put this in a span, and this is where I wanted the icon so that I can say icons home. Perfect. And this should also come from prop. So this should be icon home. There we go. Const icons. This should be a rendered thing. Okay. Cool. So now we have something on the board. This looks like a thing. Oh, and then I kind of forgot. I should have like put this entire aside into something. So like how would I would do this with Tailwind is BG. I think there's just white, and I would do it, and I'm gonna give it some width. I don't know how much. So this is where I would add UI DevTools. Let's see. Let's bring back the terminal. So how it works is you can add it from its repository. So you notice I haven't mentioned like an at here. I've mentioned just UI DevTools. What it does, it goes to GitHub/UI DevTools/Tailwind, and it installs the repository. And if you haven't seen this yet, then you can go to this URL. There's a long story there, but I've already added this, and then I'm going to include it in like the index.js of my package. Import DevTools, and I'm going to just basically wrap my entire app in this. And what that should do, reload, that should give me this. And this is kind of the key thing. So I'm going to grab it, select the element, and it says I'm not running the server, which is because I haven't started it yet. And I can say run the DevTools server and pass it my Tailwind config. So there you go. Now the server is running. Reload. Perfect. Works. So yeah, shows you I've chosen the aside. Um, First of all, let's kind of work on the width here. So I want it to be pretty wide. I'm thinking somewhere like 200 pixels or something. I think let's go with 240 pixels. And in Steve's design, this seems to be like very rounded, right? So I don't have a Figma file because I don't work at Tailwind, but I can eyeball it. I think this would be large, and it has like a nice shadow. Not outline. Maybe it's large. Let's go with extra large. Okay, so now we have something here. Okay, and now I want to talk about this. So there, you can see there's like some padding in the entire card. So I'm going to add that padding to the aside itself. I can't actually see how much, so let me take this row that we have, this li, and let me add a color to it. So fill, let's make it some shade of, well, my mouse. No, my mouse died. Shit, I didn't charge it. Connect to USB to the hook. Damn it. Okay, give me a second. Okay, the fun thing about Apple mouse is that it plugs like this. Like who came up with the design? Now I can't use this because how are you supposed to? So I'm gonna use my laptop camera, sorry, laptop keyboard and mouse. So, there you go. Sorry for the weird stop in between. Okay, now I can't share the screen. Let's Okay, cool. Okay, one screen. And here you go. Now we have both. I also want the terminal. Jeez, this is good. Okay, going back to this. I want this to be uh, like a shade layer. Let's just put any shade right now, just so that I can see the padding. There we go. I think 4 is good. Same for the top. This looks good. And now to actually do this color, this feels like a gray 100, like a really light one, maybe 200. I think I'm happy with 200. Oh, by the way, do you see this? So every time I make a change, let me show this. Every time I make a change here, so for example, if I make this, let's say this color, um, you'd see a new row come up, which actually means it's changing the code. So um, you see it's adding, like it changes the code over here. So what I want is like this also has the same border radius, I think, maybe one less. So this should be small, maybe default. Yep, that's better. Oh, the screen isn't visible. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I told you there's a lag. Uh, Give me a second. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so the like what you see and what I see is like there's apparently like a 30-second gap, which means you like your comments are coming now, and I'm sorry, I think half of you are shouting at me that you can't see anything, and I haven't seen those comments until now. Okay, now this should be good. Okay, back to designing. Hey, Danny, what's up? Okay, so back to this. Uh, yeah, I had this, I had rounded. I want some padding here. So maybe 8 pixels. Looks good. And now I want the icon, like this thing has an icon. I know that Steve uses hero icons that he made. So we're going to stick to the same icons. And I'm going to drop it here. Looks good. Okay, perfect. Now I have this. Now here's an interesting thing. Like this should be a flex so that we can get the alignment. So I'm gonna make this a flex. Flex row should be center, and then I want some space in between. I think this should be fine. And you see, like all of this is added to my code. Uh, let's talk colors. See, this is faded, but this is not. Actually, let's look at this one. So what would be interesting is like now that I know the size, I don't need this background color by default. So this should be transparent. And on hover, this should become gray 200. Does that work? Yep. But it's too sudden. I don't like that either. So I'm gonna add a transition, 150 milliseconds, and fade in. And like these are properties that I honestly haven't even memorized yet. I should look them up. Transition colors, duration 150, ease in. Okay. And this looks much better. Forward focus. Let's do the same styles for focus. Focus. 200. Okay, perfect. It doesn't get the cursor. That's because this should actually be a anchor. So I think this should have been an A tag, and then cool. You should wrap this in a li. There we go, and then I can just give it a fake place to go for now. Perfect, that looks good. Okay, now the colors and padding are off. So this thing should have a left padding for sure. I'm gonna skip the right padding. Actually, you know what? Let's just make them the same, like this. And then I want the color. So I think I'm gonna give the color to the parent itself because I have a feeling every element would have similar colors. Is this any good? Okay, this looks decent. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna switch to my laptop screen so that because my external monitor colors are shit. Okay, you can see I planned this very well. There we go. Okay. Camera primary display. Perfect. Now back to this. Video cam. Shift to this one. All right. Cool. And now I need all my windows to be here. This comes here. This comes here. This comes here. This one goes away. Comments goes the other one. Okay, doke. Alright, back here. Now everything seems big. Yeah, this is so much better. Well, I can actually see my colors now. So this should actually not be cool gray. This should be lighter. This should be something like this. 600. Okay, and the icon should be lighter. So this goes all the way to 500 maybe, 400. Because you see this is really light. Okay, and you see the icon's kind of big. That should be smaller. So I'm gonna go to the icon, select this. Maybe 16 by 16. You know what, they kind of seem bigger than that, so it's probably 5. It would have been really cool if I just had his Figma file, because then I could just see. But that's okay. Okay, so let's make some new rows. So this one, I have, let me go to Figma. Yeah, Steam, calendar, documents, reports. Okay, can all have the same icon, which is bad. Team, users, there we go. Team, calendar, documents. I wonder what I used for this. Feels more like an inbox. And then finally some charts. Okay, so let's make the icons team, calendar, docs, reports. Perfect. And ooh, would have been really good if I removed this from here and actually make a wrapper around the icon so that I can give this a class name. Okay, So selecting this again, this is like one of the things I still have to fix. Equalize your mic and increase highs a bit. Okay, I don't actually know how to do any of that, but I'm gonna try. I have an equalizer here. Oh, but it doesn't let me. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep it closer to my mouth and hope that helps. Okay, so yeah, so one of the problems that I still have to solve with UI DevTools is when I hover on things, you see I get the SVG, but the SVG and span are like there's no gap between them. So if I want to select the parent element, I can't do that yet. So I have to still build it somewhere here. So my trick right now is I sometimes add padding so that I can see it. Like you see this extra, and then this is a span I want. So now this one should have the color that I want. Instead of 600, this should be lighter. And you see it goes to all of them because they're all the same element. Okay, looks good. Now, in Steve's shot, there seems to be like a lot more room here. I'm not sure if there is space between the items or if it's just more padding. To me, it feels like there's more vertical padding than how much I've given, right? And you see I give to it for one, it goes to the rest of them, looks good. Now this feels a little tiny, I'm gonna make it more broad. 64 looks good. Okay, what else do we have? We have projects and this. Okay, looks simple enough. Let's go here. This is still part of the nav. So, I'm gonna add a div here. You know what? I don't need to. I'm just gonna add a span, which is projects. And then this is another list of things. I'm gonna add a UL and then say, I don't have a nice thing to call it, so I'm just gonna call it a project for now. Project. And then inside this, I can say website, redesign, GraphQL, API, and let's add the last one, customer migration guide. And now let's make this component. It's kind of like the previous component. Props, done, span, props.children. Okay, now let's style it. So this projects is all caps. So text, all caps, probably a size smaller, and has some letter spacing. So I've done this thing again where the UL here, I don't have access to it. So I'm gonna add some py4 just so that I can catch it. Of course, shouldn't actually have the top, only the bottom, which also in second thought should be margin. So how much margin? Maybe 8, because this thing feels like it's not too much, right? Okay. Again, this is a lighter shade of gray, and there's some letter spacing. So you can't do letter spacing here. Actually, I don't even know how to do letter spacing with Tailwind. Let's see. Letter spacing. Okay, tracking wide, tracking wider. I think Vivian might need one of the two. Wider. That seems nicer. Okay, and now coming to these. First of all, this should have an anchor. It goes nowhere for now. And now I'm going to make each of these block. And this is like a lot of padding. So padding top right, maybe 8 pixels. And they are also a lighter color, even lighter. And this actually, I made it too light. This should be 500 as well. Okay, now you see this. All of these seem like the same row, which means this has a padding of 8. So should this one 8. And then, of course, it should be a block. Oof, what did I do? Oh, 8 pixels, not 8 on the scale. All right, this looks good. Now, finally, we want to design this bottom card. Uh, Interesting. So this is outside the nav. I'm gonna just make it a div, and there's an image. I need an image with some alt, and then I need the names. So Diana, Robertson. Ooh, this is interesting. It's a nested layout. Span, not the span. View profile, and then we need like an icon icons.care, which I'm gonna grab from hero icons again. Oops, hero icons. Docs care. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, let's save and see what we have. This should be in a span. Okay, so now you see this is not designed. Plus, I also don't have an image. So I'm gonna go to Unsplash and get somebody's face. Okay. We're gonna take like, so the interesting thing here is that it needs to be like an avatar. Can I just search for avatar? Okay, fine. We're gonna use this person. Open image. I know there's a way to like change the size, I think, with 120. There we go. Nice. And we're gonna drop him into the image. Perfect. Okay. This is still too big because we want it to be like extremely like aligning with the thing. So first of all, let's make this flex so that I can get everything horizontal. Center. And now I can make this smaller. Something as big as the text, so maybe this much. And then rounded full. Looks good. And if you notice, this is also a flex. So this part, I want it to be flex, but this time with like columns so that it's horizontal and stuff. And there's too much space here. Okay, so this is small text, it's not big. And this should be bold. Medium or bold? Medium. And then I want the container here to have spacing. So I use the space utils. This should be enough. The interesting thing is that the SVG, actually, let me come back to that because what I'm realizing is, first of all, that the name is small, this shouldn't be here. This should be at the edge, which means I want all of this to be in a different div than the rest so that I can take this div, this is already flex, take the, oh, okay. Yeah, I want all of this to be here right? And then this top div, I actually can say justify between to get this effect, right? So this between, I can do start, end, but I want between. Okay, and then let's do the icon now. So this icon, again, I got the SVG. When I don't, I want the span. That's a missing feature that I have to build. P1, and now I have it. And this should be like a lighter gray. Mhm. Yep, that works. Again, this whole thing now needs to be a flex. Needs to be a flex column, and space between so that the two divs can be in the extreme ends. I'm also realizing now this block, like this has padding, so it's inside, but this isn't, which is bad. So this UL should have some padding. I don't know how much. I'm gonna add a little. Is that enough? Mm, oh, no, I want it to be aligned with this row, so it's probably more padding 2 maybe. And then so should this then. Padding left. It's actually not 3 is the right number. Okay, so this should also have 3. Okay, now we're good. Um, this should have a little less color because it's secondary text. I think we're good. Okay, now I want to do some really interesting things. So you already see like I have some hover, but this doesn't have any hover. Like it's a link, so it would be good if this gives you some feedback. So on hover, this should change to a different color, maybe like a purple or a blue, probably this one, indigo 500. So that's good. All of these don't change color, which is fine. This view profile is a link, so this should on hover turn into the same. Indigo 500. On focus, indigo 500. 600 now, 500. Same for this, focus, indigo. Okay, so this is all like layout stuff. Now this looks good. Now I want to try something cool, which I haven't. Like I want to see animations. If I can do a transform on this. So when you hover on this part, which is, I made it a span. This should be a button, right? Okay, so when you're on this button has no feedback, which is bad because it's a button. So, whoop, what did I do? So we're going to add hover styles for this button. When you hover on it, it should have some background. Mhm. Yep, same for focus. And then it should also have some border radius. There you go. Better. I think the padding should be more. Yep, there we go. And now wouldn't it be cool if this could like rotate a little when you hover? So that means that I need some transform on this part, like the icon. And I don't know how to do that. Let's see, rotate. Okay, there you go. Rotate. Alright, so if you say transform, rotate 45, that would be perfect. But not on the button. I think the thing inside the button. Right, so this is rotating, but we wanted to rotate on hover. So this should be group hover, which means I need to declare this as a group. and right, I don't even think you can tell what's happening because it's so sudden, so it needs more transition. Uh, Transition transform, take maybe like 150 milliseconds, linear, not linear in. Okay, that works. Tailwind config. I have rotate on group hover. Group hover rotate. I think that's how you do it. I don't actually know. Da, da, da. Yeah, it really doesn't rotate. Hmm, let's see. Okay, what happens if I have this is the path, this is the SVG, this is the span. So now if I change group hover to just like rotate it, okay, it does have this. Does it actually rotate? Transform. Yeah, there's a transform, rotate. Good. But it doesn't do that on group hover. Interesting. Huh. Okay. I think I need to learn a bit more. Oh, I know why, because I've applied all of this to the wrong element. This should be here. Does it work now? No, it doesn't. Transform, transition transform, duration even. Okay, I need to learn a little more Tailwind to be able to do that. That's okay. Let's make this dark version. So I'm going to copy this aside and put another one here so that we have two of these. I'm going to add some space between them. And all right, let's go. So that you can see like this is it's not fully black, but it's pretty dark gray. So this should be, mhm, it's somewhere here. Like it's not full, but it's one layer above. And then the text, of course, needs to be like as maybe just full white, which works for here. All of these things already have, we changed it. So we're going to make these, okay, let's just make these white as well. Perf, all of these are white. Oh, but these also become white. Interesting, because we're reusing the same component. It uses this component. That's not good. Okay, let's make another component called road dark, which is the one we'll use for the dark mode. Okay. Oh, I can actually just undo these changes. Check this out. I can undo this because it like the sync between the code. If I undo in any one of them, or mostly like in code, then it also undoes in the other one. So this should be row dark. I'm going to call this so project dark. This is silly because you'd never actually have dark and light in the same project next to each other. So you probably want this to be themable. Okay, so now when we change, we're changing the dark one. Go here, make this bright. Perfect, these change. This should also follow the same. Da-da-da. This should also be brighter, but not all that brighter. Okay, now let's look at the hover. Because when we hover, we were going gray 100, but now with the opposite, so it should actually become darker, right? Ooh, the hover should be brighter. I don't think that's enough contrast. Okay, this would work. good. This should also have the same. On hover, become blue 400. Sweet. The button has the wrong styles. On hover, the button should be black. Okay, I think this is good. I think I forgot a feature. I forgot these tags. So let's add those. So in the calendar, which means you can do, okay. I think you can add a count, which should show up. And then add here. And our row component should support a count. So here's a row. Okay, the anchor has this and this. This should be a div together. And then here's a span with the props.count. And it should only be shown if there is props.count, not otherwise. Perfect. Do we get something? Yep. But because we added the extra div, we broke everything. So this div should have, this should be flex row center. And I want the inner div. Okay, so this should not actually have flex anymore. Should it? Oh, it should. But also this div should have a flex. Flex item center. Right? And then this global div should actually have a space between. There we go. And the space X that we had here should actually be on the inner div. That's good. Okay, now let's style this tiny thing. So first of all, it has a background, which is the same as the whole background. That's going to be interesting because we just need it to fade away then. So hover, it's gray 100. That's what we want. Background gray 100. The text is really small. Should be small, extra small, small. And then I don't like padding because you probably want these to be the fixed width across rows. So this should be 4. Oh, and it will have to be the same. So this will actually have to be an inline flex with center, everything center, more width, and some roundedness maybe. Let's see. Border radius medium. Okay, this color is actually not the right color, is it? I get gray 50 or gray 100. Okay, better. So in Steve's design, it seems like it's even rounder, which means it has to be, if it's rounder than this, then it has to be longer as well. This is probably like 28 pixels. Yeah, this looks more real. Okay, but now if you see the padding here and the padding here is the same, which means for our inner, like this row, there is no padding, right? Because we want the count to go to the end. And I think that does it. The font size, I should reduce it. Font size, small, extra small. Wow. Okay, cool. So let's add the same to the other one. Oh, I changed the classes. That's going to be interesting. Let's see. Row dark. Right, and this of course breaks. Count is, let's say 4, docs is 5. Good. Now let's fix the colors. Oh, I broke all of them. So this should be white. This one hover should be, there you go. And then, wait, this is what happens when you copy paste without looking at it. What's the hover style here? I have a focus style which is, yeah, so we want same on hover and focus. Good. And then here we want justify between. Oh, by the way, interesting thing that I've noticed, like I do a bunch where I don't treat any of these like code or preview as like the only way to do it. I often like jump between the two. So I'll be like in design mode and then the designing, but then I have to make a logical change and then I jump into code and I do it in code. So yeah, that's why I call this like it's not a design tool. It's a coding tool for it's a dev tool for developers. Okay, there you go. This should be good. And of course, the padding thing that we fixed for the other one, we should fix it here as well. Perfect. Let me give it a hard reload. There you go. Seems seems good to me. I'm sure there are a few minor kinks here. Uh, like this is not accessible. This should probably be lighter. Yep. Okay, but other than that, I'm kind of happy. Spend 50 minutes, and yeah, 50 minutes for something like this is good timing. It's not bad, respectable, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna push this code. Mm, Add sidebar example. And if you're watching this and you're a sponsor, like if you sponsor me on GitHub sponsors, yeah, then you already have access to this code. So feel free to like clone it, play around with it. It's the example folder here. And yep, that's kind of it. Cool. I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna plug UI Devtools. So if you're not aware of it, I'm not gonna tell you what it is. You should go to the website and read out there. Shout out to Steve for doing the design work that he does. And yeah, maybe next time I'll build something else that he has. Mm, he has a few really interesting screens. I really like the pricing stuff he did. This one, this feels so good. Like this stuff feels so polished. Be very cool to like try to build something like these cards. Anywho, we'll decide next time. Okay, now I'm gonna go. And I mean, I'm not using that camera, I use this camera. All right, I'm gonna go. Bye. Oh, I always do this. I say bye, and then I realize I don't know how to close a stream because I don't use this software enough. Found it.